Howdy, everybody. Sandy Kreisberg here. It's the HBS Guru. It's Fridays with Sandy, and this being August, it's actually Monday when, days of the week get a lot of hazy, lazy days of summer. We've got a great candidate today. Mr. Candidate, why don't you introduce yourself very briefly and pronounce your name, and then we'll give you some background.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Sandy. My name is Merdul. I am currently a strategy and planning advisor at ExxonMobil.
And how old are you?
24 years old.
24 years old, which is a good age to apply to business school. And you've got 3 years of work experience, and it's all at, as we say, XOM. That's what I learned 3 minutes ago. That's how people at ExxonMobil talk about the firm there, XOM. And for you investor types, that's the sticker symbol.
Yes, sir. So spent 3 years there working from IT business analyst and then pivoting my way to strategy and planning.
Okay, slow that down. That's important. One of the things that our viewers can learn from you is you began in IT, which is kind of I don't know if you're allowed to say this, a weak sister in the minds of people in the business. It's known because it doesn't make money. It's not client. Is it client facing?
All our clients are internal, so no.
Yeah. So you're just internal housekeeping. That's the way they view it. So
yes, sir.
And that's the way IT is viewed, even though it's critical. You started there. And then what were you able to do?
Yeah, so working in IT, I was doing a lot of IT projects, coding, things like that. I was also doing some business analytics. Voiced a lot of passion for problem solving, but business problem solving, and started getting more face time with management. As a result of that,
yeah. So here's the question: what advice would you give someone in a large firm, like a Fortune 50 firm like XOM, who's in IT and wants to get out? Give me your get out of jail strategy, get out of IT jail strategy for a
absolutely.
50
for me, my passion is problem solving, but not really the problems that we're solving with IT. It's more of how can we, really change the business plan.
That's not helping anybody get out. Give me something I could use, man.
I think voicing your passions to your managers, to your supervisors, and your advocates. I was really lucky to have a lot of people in my corner who kind of helped me get to where I am. So
okay, so tip one: make friends and influence people.
Definitely.
But the people you were making friends with are in IT, right?
Within IT and with outside as well.
Okay, so schmooze, make friends, cast a wide net. All right.
Definitely. Networking is the biggest way to influence your career.
Good. And what else would you recommend?
Pursuing outside.
Did you have someplace planned? Did you have your next move planned, or were you just opportunistic about that?
Yeah, so at Exxon, the gateway to management is my current role, strategy and planning advisor, where you're working with finances and budgets. So that's a significant step away from coding and doing database work on a daily basis. So this is the opportunity that I sought out, voiced that this is what I wanted, and explained why this was going to help me get to where I wanted to get in my career. So yes, this was already something I reached for.
You knew you wanted it. Was there a path ahead of you? Had people done this, or were you kind of making your own way?
Yeah, so people who are identified as high potential typically get invited to these kinds of roles, and that's typically.
Okay, so you were identified as a high potential individual. Okay, is that what you're telling me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid there's no secret to that. You just either the company thinks you are, or they don't. Do you think they're pretty shrewd about the people? I realize since they identified you, this is a slightly biased question, but do you think What did you think of your peers? Did they all strike you as high potential individuals, or?
Yeah, ideally the candidates that they choose are folks who can present well to management, present succinctly, and talk about high level or really sophisticated concepts in ways that management will understand
Okay,
when
so
making
ways to get out of IT. First of all, be good at IT. Be sure you want to get out of there, schmooze, make friends, be on the lookout for new opportunities. Don't uh, drill yourself into a hole. You be on the lookout. All that being said, I may have asked you this, but how many people manage to transition out of IT into something else?
Yeah, it's gonna be very few. Honestly, the biggest transition is from grunt work IT, individual contributor stuff, to IT management. And that is a little bit more common, but transitioning from IT to the other functions we have at Exxon are rare, because it's geology, it's engineering, it's things that IT folks typically don't have a
Good.
background.
Okay, but you did it. Now you're in strategy. You're a strategy and planning advisor. What do you do?
Work with an L2 manager. L2 meaning he reports directly to the head of IT, and I work with his organization, foundational infrastructure, and pretty much manage the budget for him, outline current year forecasts as things come in, as big charges come in, really figuring out how that jives with our planned forecast, our planned budget, figuring out what's going to happen next year, and
Okay,
the
so
current
you do
cycle
a
that
lot
we're
of
in.
budget. You do a lot of budget. Budget's a big thing. People.
Probably the
You're always
biggest.
planning for the next one. Budgeting never stops. Uh,
Exactly, yeah. If not this year, the
so
next year. If not next year, the
right,
next 5 years.
right. So that's what you've been doing. Uh, Pretend this is an interview question. Uh,
Yes.
could you tell me about your experiences in leading different people in different ways as a result of your job? Is that something you were exposed to?
Yeah, in the current organization, we have managers all over the world, over here in Asia Pacific and South America. So working with them, understanding the projects that they have, the initiatives that they're trying to accomplish, whether it's adding more circuits, working on their telecom infrastructure, and understanding what their needs are and what they're providing to the corporation at large, and then translating that into the kind of numbers that I can present to IT leadership. In this position, I work a lot with managers above me, at the senior levels, and not so much with direct reports. I don't
Yeah.
have any direct reports.
Do you deal with anyone outside the company?
At this point, since I've only been in this position for a month and a half now, not yet, but
But you will by the time you apply, maybe. And
potentially yes.
yeah, leading
But the
financial
majority of my
planning
clients are
for
internal.
900 reporting staff, $350 million budget, serving as chief financial steward. Boy, that's a good job.
Yeah, so one of the perks about my position is, even though I report to the L2 manager, I roll up a few of the other L2 managers' budgets, and I present that one level higher, both to the central planning team and the head of IT, kind of for our managers. So
Yeah, and then you've got this terrific line on your resume called the Unsung Hero Award. What is that, and what did you do that's a real honor?
yeah, so in my previous organization, Unconventional, I was awarded that purely because of kind of it's going the extra mile. I had a couple of folks, new hires that I mentored. One of the things I'm really passionate about is coming from IT. I really want to learn the business side. So I used to give quarterly the earnings report that the CEO would give. I would kind of dumb that down to our IT folks and explain that in a way that software people can kind of understand. So going above and beyond is kind of the leadership without a leadership title, if you will, is kind of the meaning behind
Unsung
that.
Hero, is that something they pass out at the staff meeting every month, or is that something that happens every year, or what?
It's a quarterly thing, and I think 4 or 5 folks get it within the organization.
The organization being,
At that point, it was Unconventional IT, so maybe I think between 400 to 600 employees.
well, I'm impressed. That's something in business schools really admire, because that shows to a business school admissions officer, leading without a title is something that that's what they think they're teaching you. And they're also teaching you how to get titles.
Yeah.
But something they would find very impressive. And then you were a IT All-Star winner. What's that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's for developing a project or initiative that gives significant savings. So when people might not know about oil and gas is when you're drilling, you might own, so Sandy, you might own the rights to the surface area of your house, but you might not own the mineral rights underneath that. So we developed a project that would make sure that our U.S. onshore drilling would make sure we wouldn't lose any leases, and that would, that's a really, really complicated subject. So we aggregated a bunch of data. We made that work in a way that management could see, and it's savings of multiple hundreds of millions in perpetuity.
I kind of get it. For purposes of interview preparation, you've got to
Yeah,
put that
clean
in
that
a
up.
button and really be able to explain it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, and then stand-up comedy. I'm impressed.
Appreciate that. More of a fan of watching. I please don't ask me to tell a joke. I don't think that'll go very well.
They may ask you. You should have a clean joke ready. It's a part of. Let me say something. It's a part of Harvard Business School interview preparation lore, LORE, that they often ask you to tell me a joke, okay? I've never heard that happen, okay? I've heard people say that that's something you should be prepared to do. I have actually, and I have spoken to a lot of people who have been interviewed at HBS, hundreds of people. None of them were ever asked to tell a joke, even though that's part of the mythology of the interview. In your case, you're kind of asking for it, all right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure to have that polished up.
Yeah, you should you should have one in your pocket, okay?
For sure. For sure.
Public speaking, that's something they really admire, and that's something that they hope that their graduates will be doing in various capacities. Putting that on your resume, you're kind of asking, I mean, you're setting the bar really high. What kind of public speaking have you done?
Yeah, so that ranges from a lot of things internal to the company, obviously presenting to management, where these managers represent 2,000, 3,000 folks in the organization, talking to them. I've given various tech talks within all of ExxonMobil IT that have pretty large audiences. Going so far back as high school, I was valedictorian, so giving a speech there, that kind of like small stuff from a while ago. But things like Toastmasters, that's really what I enjoy trying to polish up those skills.
Toastmasters is another business school ally. They like people who have a Toastmasters mindset.
Gotcha.
It's helping each other, public speaking, breaking the ice, cross-functional, different people, different modes of doing things. How would you tell me the best speech you ever gave? I'm being a little hard on you here because I like you.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know that you like me. I really think where I'm bridging the gap between explaining high level technology, really, but I should say low level, really sophisticated technology to folks who don't really have experience. I think that's where I've kind of excelled in the past. So, for example, when I first started at Exxon, I was placed on the spatial analytics team, and we use a tool.
What was the question I asked you? This is just a little rap on the knuckles here.
I think you asked me what was the best speech I gave.
Yeah, and are you en route to answering that?
I think I was getting there, but you're right. I didn't answer right away.
Yeah, folks, as I usually say, answer the question immediately and then do the back fill-in work afterwards.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
What's the answer?
I gave a tech talk once on spatial analytics and how we use that within the organization to my ExxonMobil peers, and I think that was one of the opportunities where I was able to blend my interest in tech with actual business results, and that was the best presentation that I've given in a public forum.
I believe you, but it's not worth beating this dead horse. You haven't made it clear what was public about that and
Gotcha.
what the setting was, etc.
Gotcha.
Okay, just noted.
Gotcha.
Let's
Absolutely.
move on here. What business schools do you want to attend?
Yeah. I'm applying to quite a few. Harvard is the dream. I don't know if I have the stats to be competitive there, but
A
Harvard is definitely
378 and a 750. What stats do you think you're missing?
it's a public Ivy. It's University of Texas. So it's not a feeder school. I'm not MBB.
Yes, it is. University of Texas is a totally fine feeder school.
Okay. The other thing is competitive bucket being Indian. So 750. I know in the pre-interview you kind of calmed my nerves a little bit there, but that was something I was nervous about before this call.
No, Indian males, which is to some extent the bucket you're in. They could fill a class with Indian males. So that is a competitive bucket. That I agree with you. Indian males with stand-up comedy backgrounds who have also transitioned from, IT to a strategy and planning role. That bucket's not so big.
Okay.
So you got a lot going for you, including a lot on your resume, like public speaking. You also list cooking. Okay, tell me about that.
Okay, so I'm a picky eater, but I like trying different recipes. When it comes to picky eater, I'm basically a vegetarian, but I'll eat chicken. So a little bit of a contradiction there. So all sorts of chicken recipes I've tried. Some successfully, some not successfully.
Do you cook for yourself, or do you like holding dinner parties, or do you cook for your partner, or what's the story?
Mostly cooking for myself, but when friends get together, I will try things now and then for potlucks.
What was your most daring recipe in front of two or more people?
Yeah, so we had a Thanksgiving potluck a few years ago, and I tried to make chicken tikka tacos, and it went well. Feedback was great. Definitely an Indian dish, so I had the standards were pretty high, but comments were a little too oily, a little too spicy, but that's the way I like it, so I'll take it.
Okay, buddy, you got a lot going for you. I think your chances of getting interviewed at HBS are, 40, 50%. And then you just got to survive the interview. I think at Stanford.
Yeah, so one of the things with
Stanford,
I've watched your videos, man. I know that we need the X factor. One of the things that I
well,
haven't
what
really
it was about, yeah, okay. Do you think you have an X factor?
I think I do have a passion for I mean, as you call it, the do-gooder projects. I've spent the last year, and it's continuing now. When I was virtual, I am a volunteer computer science teaching assistant through Microsoft Teams. So I work with underprivileged kids, and basically I'm a tutor and a teacher for them for computer science. Something that I didn't really have when I was in IT, and I was, racking my brain.
Is that a serious engagement?
I would say between 15 to 20 hours a month. Outside of that, I do resume reviews, things like that. During pandemic, I was really involved with that, all voluntary. And this wasn't for the business school, but
where's the audience from? Your two T's. Where is this part of an organization?
Sorry, my two T's?
The people you help learn about computer skills. Is that part of an organization?
They're high school computer science students from underprivileged schools, typically, who can't really afford to hire a computer science teacher professor. So they get somebody who's kind of decent in that, and then they get
Who's your liaison? The high school, or do you find the
Microsoft.
kids?
Microsoft
Oh,
has a
Microsoft.
program,
Okay,
yeah, where they
sorry.
work with these kids, yeah, or work with these
Good.
schools.
That's good. Uh, that's a powerful extra, and if your engagement is serious, that's the kind of thing Stanford could go for. It's, do-gooder, it's up their alley, and 378, 750. I'll tell you, I don't care what other people say. ExxonMobil is a plus. Okay, you
Really?
know, people like to badmouth those companies, and I'll leave that as a separate discussion. In terms of taking people away from those companies to join your organization, the training you've got there, the fact that you have existed within these mega corporations, all those are positives. And also, as you pointed out, they don't get many applicants from, how many people apply to business schools from that you know of in the whole company? Forget about your division.
That I know of, just a handful.
Yeah,
So
it's a real positive. It's not a negative at all. And you've had a great career there, man. You've had a great run. Started out as an IT analyst, worked your way up in record time. You're in a leadership development program that you've excelled at. They love all that stuff. You check a lot of boxes, buddy. And there's no boo-boos here. There's no saying, oh well, let me explain my low GPA. You got a 3.7 from Texas Austin. So I think your chances at Harvard and Stanford I think your chances of being interviewed at Harvard are 40, 50%. You're in a competitive bucket. And at Stanford, if you can play up the do-gooder stuff, they'll be taken by the statistics. Stanford, the public face of Stanford might not be, a place that says, boy, we love big oil companies, but they respect them, and they'll be happy to save you from a life
yeah,
in the petroleum business. Okay. So I think your chances there are real good too.
Awesome.
And
Really glad to hear that. Some of the other schools I'm targeting are Wharton, Booth, Kellogg, Columbia. Any thoughts?
Wharton, Booth, Kellogg, boy, the stats alone should do you well there. Wharton, I'd be curious how many people Wharton, I'd like to know the number of people from a blue chip company with a 378 and a 750 that get rejected from Wharton with a very powerful resume like yours. I think your chances of Wharton are good. The trick there is convincing them you want to come. So it's very important for Wharton that you show them the love, go, I don't know if you can visit yet, but go to all their online forums, do you know anybody there?
Wharton is the one school that I don't have any contacts at, alumni or current, but most of the other tops I do have.
Well, it always helps to develop those kind of contacts. Kellogg, man, once again, it's convincing them you want to come. They would go for this story for a lot of reasons. So I think your chances there are good. What would you say? What are you planning to say at Stanford for what matters most? We can finish off on this guidance.
So I'm watching videos. I will watch. I will kind of answer with what you've given other people's advice, and it's really it's impact beyond just myself and developing into a leader that has impact. My parents are a big influence on me. Some high school teachers that I had are a big influence on me. So kind of
identify. You've got the jive, man. You're a smart cookie. Identify like 4 influences.
Absolutely.
Let's hear it.
Right off the bat, I'd say parents. I'd say some high
Good.
school teachers. In terms of events, I would say getting to sit on some leadership team meetings last year during the pandemic when oil and gas was tumultuous. Getting to hear some of the conversations that management leadership was having, and realizing that those were the kind of problems that invigorated me, not really the problems I was currently working on. So that was the reason I pivoted to strategy. And then I guess the last influence I would say is seeing, you know, I don't really have a fourth one, but I'll come up with a fourth one.
No, your fourth influence has to be the kids you tutor through the Microsoft program.
I was going to tie that in with the high school teachers kind of thing, but
Okay.
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, good, but that would be it. That would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll drill down one more, whatever they call it there at ExxonMobil, one more drill unit. What would you say the influence of your parents was?
Sorry, with regards to Exxon or just in
No,
general?
with regards to the Stanford, what matters most is it?
Oh, they came to this country with very little. Obviously, that's the typical immigrant story, so it doesn't really set me apart. But their influence of every day they would sit down with me, make sure that I did my math homework, and they'd kind of like learn alongside me. That kind of influence allowed me to get to where I am today, and that's kind of what I want to do with the high school kids that I kind of mentor with the new hires.
Perfect. Yeah, pass it on. Good. That's a
Exactly.
good. That's
It
a
takes the
good
village.
part of it. That's a good part of a Stanford essay. So that what matters most. What matters is the experience I had. Was very fortunate enough to have with my parents who came to this country and made their own life, and then taught me what their values were supportive of me, and then the effect that had on me wanting to help others. That's a good part of a Stanford essay.
Awesome. Appreciate the feedback.
Okay, I think you're going places, and you've got cooking, stand-up comedy, drilling for oil. It's terrific. Okay. Great talking to you, Myrdal.
Very excited to hear that. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.